morning, everyone. My name is Gabriela Soya, and today we're presenting a project in treatment methods. Today's topic will be substance abuse. For starters, why I chose this topic. I chose this topic for a number of reasons. The main one being because I grew up with two alcoholic parents that were also drug addicts. So I saw lots of questionable decisions being made, actions that had no rhyme or reason. I saw withdrawal, I saw overdose, I saw pretty much anything that you could think of, and I wanted to know more about it. I want to know what are the options that drug addicts or alcoholics have. What are things that they are going through? I kind of wanted to get inside of the mind of a drug addict or someone that's experiencing any type of addiction, because it raised lots of questions for me and my family. And I lost my dad. He was 30-something years old, died very young because of drug abuse and alcohol, and so I just needed to know, why. For starters, some 5 interesting facts. 13 is the average age that people start playing around with experimenting with drugs and alcohol. That age is also young. This is just the average age. There has been reported 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 8-year-olds, younger than that, just finding things that their parents are using, or they see some older kid doing it, want to fit in, they try it. So this is a huge problem. It's not just a problem for adults, this is a problem for teens, children as well. 28% of college dropouts abuse alcohol. I thought this was very shocking, only because college is hard, and all of us know that. All of us know that college can get overwhelming, and so whenever I think of somebody dropping out, I think it's because it's hard, and they gave it their best shot and they can't do it anymore. But it actually is also linked with alcohol abuse. 80% of domestic violence reports are somewhat related to drugs or alcohol abuse. And I wasn't shocked by that number, only because usually when someone's putting their hands on their significant other, not always, but usually, drugs or alcohol are in the mix as well. And that's just something that I know only from experience, because things would always, get out of hand. Anytime drugs or alcohol were around in my family, it wasn't like you could go and have a couple beers with your, with your family and everything would be all fine and dandy. Alcohol and drugs don't always sit right with everyone. So in the United States, Americans are expected to live 78.6 years old, but those who abuse drugs or alcohol or contain anything in their bodies that are harmful are expected to live 48 years old if untreated. And this is also if treated as well, because once you get diagnosed with a liver failure or anything like that, those things could be hard for your body to bounce back from, especially when you don't receive a transplant if needed. My dad died from a 5-stage liver failure. My mom had a stage 1 liver failure, and my mom bounced back. My dad didn't bounce back. He was already, too far gone. And once his liver went, everything else was just going with it. So, he put all these harmful things in his body, and his body just couldn't keep up with him anymore. So next, painkillers, tranquilizers, and stimulants are the most abused prescription drugs. I thought that was interesting only because it says prescription drugs, meaning like marijuana, things that are more like, under the table, that you're not technically prescribed everywhere, because marijuana is legal some places, but painkillers and stuff like that, people abuse them. These are things that it's hard to stop, because doctors are prescribing these drugs to people that quote unquote need it. They can't really help that someone's going to abuse it. They don't know that right away. Some things that I did not like about my research, or that I just found a little uninteresting, was that there are not enough effective treatment programs. There's tons of treatment programs, tons and tons and tons of treatment programs, but there's not any beneficial, effective programs to help people that are going through withdrawal of alcohol, addiction, or substance abuse, of drugs or alcohol. There's just not enough treatment programs that are effective. We have tons of that are just not working. Next is the Suboxone. So Suboxone is another drug that They prescribe addicts to help them go through withdrawal because withdrawal can be very deadly. You experience a lot like flu symptoms, but flu symptoms to the max. It's very uncomfortable, very painful. You're vomiting, you're nauseous, you're aching, you're in pain, you're just going through a miserable time. So, and that can be very deadly because once your body's been hooked on something for so long, it actually needs it to survive. So Suboxone is put in place there to kind of help them get off of withdrawal. The only problem with Suboxone, and this is why it's on my dislike page, is because people abuse Suboxone. I know this from firsthand experience. My mom, she abused her Suboxone. She sold her Suboxone once she stopped abusing it because it stopped working for her. She started selling it, and things that doctors do now to help prevent them abusing it or things like that is, they'll do drug tests, but it's not that hard to get clean pee. It's actually a drug addict's go-to thing to do. It's just, hey buddy, can I have some pee that's clean? You put a little Suboxone in it, you're good to go. It shows up in the thing, and all is well, and you keep getting the prescription, you keep abusing, you keep selling, and it's just a mess. So I don't think Suboxone should be on the table, only because of this, but again, they're put with their backs against the wall because withdrawal can be deadly. Next would be the price of treatment programs is way too much. The smallest amount, and this was for a 30-day program, was $500. And this was not at some super cool suite or anything. This was just a room, treatment, $500, 30 days. It takes a lot more than 30 days. I think 30-day programs are so not effective. It takes a lot more than 30 days for a drug addict to become clean. And then they can range in for thousands of dollars for further on treatment monthly. And so it's just, if a drug addict can really afford enough money to get drugs, what makes you think that they're going to stop doing drugs to come and pay thousands of dollars to get help? And then another thing would be that addictive traits follow for the rest of your life, good or bad, even clean addicts. That addictive trait is in an addict's body forever, whether it's to do drugs, whether it's to drink, or whether it's to do some less harmful things like addicted to shopping, addicted to cleaning, addicted to collecting things. That addictive trait is in an addict's body for the rest of their life. And then, again, 30-day programs are also really costly. Like I said, the lowest one that I could find was $500 for 30 days. And, that doesn't include everything that you're gonna need. That's just to get in the door and to get started. The medicines and stuff like that, all that kind of things, those are going to be way more. So here I was told to pick a couple graphs. This is my first graph. It is a roadmap. It is basically, if you start over here, it gives you, options to choose, if you have health insurance, if you do not have health insurance, here where you go, this is where you'll end up. It's just the roadblocks to seeking treatment for addicts. I thought this was very beneficial because if you see, it's just things like, are there any detox beds available? Check no. And then, are you addicted to anything? Are you willing to do anything else? You would select no. And then, can you spend 3 to 5 days without drugs? You would select no. And then, sorry, we can't help you detox. You're not going to get any help. So it just gives the addicts us a point of view of what addicts are thinking and going through. My next graph here, I chose this one because COVID is something that we are all familiar with, sadly. COVID is something that we're all going through right now. So I thought it was very, very, very interesting to see that, so overdose is our red color here, and COVID-19 deaths is our blue here. If you see, there's way more overdose deaths than there is COVID. And when you get on the news or anything, you're hearing, there's this many deaths here from COVID, there's this many deaths here from COVID. Okay, but we don't hear about all these overdoses. We don't hear about the drug problem. We don't hear about something that's been going on for decades that's killing us left and right, but we're hearing about, COVID. So I thought it was just interesting that there's way more overdose deaths than there is COVID. So why is this an issue in the criminal justice system? Criminal justice system, it deals with addicts of alcohol and drugs more than anybody. It is a revolving door for addicts. If you are high and you're out of your mind and you're going out, you're messing around, and you need some more drugs and you don't have any money, what are you gonna do? Steal. Stealing leads you to end up in the criminal justice system. Criminal justice system leads you into tax dollars being paid for you to stay there, and it's just a repeating cycle. You get out, you get back on your drugs, you do the same thing. It's just a revolving door, the same cycle, creating a bigger problem for our criminal justice system. Our recidivism rates are going to continue to grow because we're not fixing the problem. We're just putting it on hold for however many days you ended up in jail, sending you back out. We'll see you in another 30 days, basically. You know, addicts do unspeakable things. It's really hard to determine what an addict will actually do when they're on drugs or when they're drunk. So these always lead to basically crimes. And doing drugs in general is a crime. Driving drunk is a crime. These are all things you're going to be put behind bars for. You're going to end up in our prisons, our jails, taking up beds. You know, we need to fix the problem where it started, not where, you know, we're putting it on hold. We'll see you in another 30 days. We'll send you back in and out. So it's really just, it's just creating that never-ending cycle. Here is a video that I used for my project. I chose this only because Sandra's story really impacted my opinion. Sandra is the woman here on the left-hand side. She impacted me a lot because she showed her true colors. She really showed, you know, she's still on drugs in the video that I watched for my research. She admits to prostitution. She admits all the things a drug addict must go through to, you know, get their drugs, get their fix. She even admits in the video that she'll go use when she's done with this video. And I thought that her story opened my eyes because it is hard. And I realized that drug abuse is not as easy as just stop doing it and it's all well. It's not a choice sometimes. Actually, I feel that a drug addict loses all control of their body. The addiction takes over. They're not who we knew before. You know, when my parents were using drugs, they weren't actually my parents. I had no idea who they were anymore, and Sandra's story really helped me with that. So I just wanted to include her on this PowerPoint, and because I used her as the soul of my research for this, because she really was honest. You know, she didn't hide anything. She said, you know, she's not happy of it, but this is probably something that'll kill her because she's tried to stop and she just can't. Alrighty, and this is the last slide here, and it's just my reference page. So thank you everyone for listening.